Welcome back to Talking Risks. It's a podcast about entrepreneurialism, entrepreneurial education and support, and hopefully incentives. Every week we have on an entrepreneur or a consultant to entrepreneurs to tell us about where they came from and their strategies and their struggles and victories and their legacies. And we hope that in doing this, we can expand our education in entrepreneurialism, your education, and really what we hope to do is inspire others to become entrepreneurs, start your own business. There's no freedom in any profession like owning your own business. And I know that, and Ricky knows that, and our guests know that, and we want you to know that as well. So that's what we're trying to encourage. My name's Eric Reese. I'm a lawyer. I own a law firm called Aspen Legal. You can find that on the web at aspenlawteam.com. Ricky is my co-host. Ricky?
Hi, I'm Ricky Hall, founder of Nutrition HQ and Nutrition HQ Franchising.
And the best part today is our guest from a brand, MassageLuXe, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Hi there, my name is Kristen Pechacek. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at MassageLuXe. MassageLuXe is a franchise with 70 locations nationwide on the fast track to get to 250 over the next 5 years. So we got a lot of growth ahead of us. My role as Chief Growth Officer really boils down to two primary responsibilities. The first, make sure that our franchisees are successful and profitable by overseeing the marketing activity and department for MassageLuXe. And the second is to continue to grow the MassageLuXe name. So responsible for demand generation, the growth of our franchise. Thanks for having me.
So Kristen has a very interesting past. She's into a number of things with respect to franchising and business, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, we like to cover what Ricky and I have been talking about over the last week. We call it Hot Topics. And
come on, Jill. Talk to me, Jill. Come on.
Ricky still struggles with the button. If there's one button on the soundboard that Ricky has problems with, it's Hot Topics. He plays it when he shouldn't, and when he should, he only gets part of it.
Well, at least it's not Family Feud.
Right, exactly. So the hot topic this week that we're going to talk about is return to work, and return to work in a weird way, meaning the hot topic is, can employers force you to get the government injection? Listen to what he said, government injection. He must be an anti-vacciner. Well, I am an anti-vacciner. Nobody's going to shoot that shit into me. We don't know what that is. Don't tell me you know what that is. I don't care if you hire John Legend to tell me it's safe. I ain't going to take John Legend's advice on anything, quite frankly. But the answer seems to be from the EEOC that the employers can, in fact, enforce or require their employees to get the vaccine. And in something like a hospital setting or a health setting, I get that. But, man, that scares the bejesus out of me, Ricky.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, they're saying that they can mandate this because of the safety of the other coworkers, but it's scary, especially when it's been rushed to market. Was it emergency use authorization?
Correct.
No, but now they're calling it emergency use authorization plus.
Correct. Right. And then Fauci's out there explaining that you're probably need to get booster shots. So it's not just the initial 2 shots, it's the booster shots that you need to get. It's really the slippery slope, right? Where do we stop? And while this is subject, of course, to if the employer otherwise violates your constitutional rights with respect to race or sex or religion, and you're going to see those arguments, right? I'm not taking the shot because of my religious belief. I'm not taking the shot. How about this? There are some indications out there that some individuals who have taken the shot have had problems sexually. They can't have sex, but they're having problems with their pregnancy. Are the two related? Don't say absolutely not. You don't know. There's a whole lot less science going on than there is guesswork. And we just don't know what it's going to do to you. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of arguments made by employees and a lot of lawsuits that the employer or ex-employer who fired me for not getting the government injection violated some constitutional rights in doing so.
Well, what about the universities that's going to mandate that you have to have the injection to go to school?
WashU.
Yeah,
WashU in St. Louis already did.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I have school-age kids. One is in a private college. The other one is still in grade school. And in Illinois, by the way, Governor Pritzker, it just pains me to even say his name, quite frankly. And I'm just waiting for the state to say, look, your kid has to get an injection before they can come back to school. And with respect to ADA, for example, the Americans with Disabilities Act, you have to provide reasonable accommodations for someone with a disability. Okay, so my kid doesn't have a disability, but let's say some child has a lot of allergies. Let's say some child is on other medications that this medication may react adversely to. What accommodations are you going to make for them? Are they going to be able to continue to Zoom? Or are you going to cut off Zoom school for them? And when they get behind as a result of Zoom, because let's face it, kids do not learn the same on Zoom as they do in the classroom. And I'm an expert on this because I've watched it for a year and a half from our own kids. What's going to happen?
I don't know. It's you said best. It's a slippery slope, and fast forward in 5 years, it can be really scary, especially. What if this becomes linked to infertility?
Sure.
Especially with these young males and females.
Absolutely.
Just to get to go through high school.
You don't think they'll sue those employers for forcing them to take the shot? Of course they will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're starting a whole new round of a cluster.
Yep.
And it's going to be a big cluster. What I thought was going to happen, quite frankly, was that employers who chose not to enforce we're going to say, hey, look, the middle ground is if you want to come back in personally, you need to get the shot, right, if you're going to be physically in the office. But otherwise, since you've worked from home for the last 12-plus months, you can continue to work from home. To me, that would be the smarter move because you're going to eliminate a lot of office space. And next to labor cost, your lease space is certainly number
it's in the
two.
top three.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's what I thought was going to happen. But we'll see. This goes to really the authorization of the employers to do it. This doesn't go to whether employers are going to choose to do it or not.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So it's a good time to be an Amish entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The thing is, and we'll leave it at this because I know too much of the press talks about COVID already, but this is really employer related, and I'm having clients ask me, it's like, well, what do I do? What do I do with respect to getting my employees vaccinated or requiring them to be vaccinated or take other safety steps with respect to my employees? But the thing is, ultimately, and again, I'll leave it at this, is that when I drive by one of these injection sites, and there's one very close to my house, about 2 miles from my house, I'm going to describe it. Outside of the injection site, which is surrounded by chain link fence, okay? I'm not exaggerating. If you don't believe me, it's the St. Clair County Fairgrounds, all right? Outside the injection site, which is surrounded by chain link fence, there are 6 police vehicles. They're directing traffic into the chain link fence area. Once you get in there, you go back and forth with your car between these orange pylons. Then you come into an area that has a roof over it, but it's open air. And while you're getting up there, there are military people right? I don't know if they're Army or Air Force, but they're in full uniform directing you into this open-sided tent.
Sure, it's the
right?
National Guard.
Yeah. Then once you get there, another uniform, meaning someone from the military, comes out with a nurse, or it looks like a nurse, and you put your arm out the window, and they inject you with a drug that you have no idea what they're putting into your body. It is, I'm telling you, it looks like a science fiction movie.
Yeah, it does.
And every time I
living right in the middle of it.
Every time I drive by there, I'm more convinced that ain't going to be me.
Ooh, no.
All right, so what are you guys going to do over at MassageLuXe? Are you going to require people to get vaccinated?
Become a franchisee?
Right.
I wish I knew. I'm probably listening to you guys talking and finding myself in the exact same situation that many of the employees are finding themselves in as they listen to you talk, right? So many questions, so much unknown, and we don't have the answers yet, as many companies don't. But what we can do is take a lead from the other larger companies out there and take advice from everybody involved and make an informed decision based on what others are doing and what we feel is right. So yeah. I wish I had that answer for you guys. I don't.
Yeah, so I think the good news is that everyone was mask crazy for a while, right? And you didn't have a mask on, people would berate you in Target or whatever. They haven't seemed to gone shot crazy, right? It's like they don't ask you whether you've had your shot or not. And not like with the mask. With the mask, it was easy to see, right? But until the government requires us to wear a scarlet letter if we haven't had the shot, right, no one can tell. And I don't think, and I've not heard from any of my clients that the consumers are asking for, well, what do you do? Have you had your shot or not, right? Because I think people want to return to normal. I know I really never left normal, but I had an advantage having some houses at the Lake of the Ozarks, which really never altered its course during the pandemic and suffered some of the lowest incidents of COVID-19 in the country, quite frankly, which just goes to show you how good the science is. But tell us about, at MassageLuXe, tell us about the consumer behavior. How are the consumers coming back to a company which clearly the 6-foot distancing rule can't be followed when you're getting a massage?
Yeah, it's a super good question. Here's the thing to understand about what we do at MassageLuXe. Although some may view massage or facial as a luxury, the vast majority of people, 88% in fact, view massage as a form of healthcare. So when you understand that stat, you understand how a brand like ours has fared very well during the pandemic. Yes, it is a luxury, but one in which that's essential to your health, right? It's one in which that feels really good, sure, but also you're doing it for preventative and treatment purposes. So we've done extremely well throughout the pandemic. That's not to say that we haven't had our challenges, and it's not to say that some of our customers are hesitant, but we've taken the precautions in our spas, and those who visit our spas are doing so because without coming to us, they're miserable, right? They've got chronic pain or anxiety, arthritis, the daily struggles as it relates to health and wellness that we help them overcome. So the consumer is ready. They're ready. They're coming back, and it's really great to see.
So most of your customers, do you think it's fair to say that most of your customers have incorporated massage into their routine, their health routine, and they're not, I got a gift certificate, even though I know you guys sell gift certificates. They're not coming in to try massage. Most of your customers are, look, this is a part of my health care or my maintenance routine.
Absolutely. As a franchise owner, 70% of your revenue in our system is reoccurring from membership. That alone will tell you that people aren't just coming in off of one gift card. they're coming in because they're monthly paying members, and they are using this as a way to feel both mentally and physically better.
Yep. That really doesn't surprise me, because the people that I know, look, I'd love to get massages on a regular basis. For me, it's just about time, right? Finding the time. And starting a new law firm, its time is completely gone now. In fact, I was helping with my kid this morning with homework, and I fell asleep on his workbook. And it's like, last thing I remember is, thanks, Dad.
That's funny.
You've done a great job. So before we talk more about MassageLuXe, I don't want to miss out on your background, Kristen, where you hailed from, went to school, and how you got into this position with MassageLuXe.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border. I'm on the Wisconsin side. I actually live on a beef cattle farm. So in our free time, we raise beef cattle. My husband's a farmer and an agriculture teacher. So we have some fun with our cattle and our outdoors a lot. But I went to college at the University of St. Thomas, which is a private Catholic university, the largest in Minnesota, just right in St. Paul.
The first time I heard the University of St. Thomas, I thought it was in St. Thomas.
The island.
I thought, man,
God, wouldn't that be nice?
That sounds really nice. All right, keep going. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't that be nice? When I was in college, Facebook and social media was not a thing.
Sure.
Not a thing for businesses to be on at all. They were rolled out to college students, and then, there was some pickup on, hey, as a business, should we be involved in social media? And honestly, I think it was the benefit of timing in that I was super interested in what was happening in the digital marketing space, and businesses were clueless as to what was happening in the digital marketing space. And so I really started out in consulting while in college, and after college, kind of opened up my own shop and had a lot of success with that agency because nobody was doing it. Nobody understood what was happening.
Sure.
And through that, ended up working as a partner to the Minnesota Vikings. So they were a client of mine.
Wow.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And in that, I really got introduced to franchising. Now, many people don't think that the Vikings are a franchise, but they are. They're a franchisee of the franchisor, the NFL.
Yep.
I fell in love with what they were doing there and ended up going full-time to work with them. And throughout my years with the Vikings, really got a glimpse into the franchising world. After that, I went over to Self-Esteem Brands, one of the largest franchisors. They have 4 brands underneath their umbrella and a combined 5,000 locations in like 35 countries. So that's really where I learned a lot in a short amount of time. I was there 5 years.
Were they up in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right outside the Twin Cities.
Very cool.
Their largest brand is Anytime Fitness. So tons of locations.
Yeah.
So unlike many others, I decided to make a pretty big change in the midst of COVID.
Sure.
Last summer, while things were still really crazy, I decided to move over to MassageLuXe. And a couple of reasons I decided to do that. I've been talking to MassageLuXe for a while. I love the services space.
Yep.
I will always be in franchising. I love franchising, but I love the services space within franchising. I think there's a lot of recession resiliency there.
Yep.
And so MassageLuXe was an attractive option for me. But what really sealed the deal is when I went to St. Louis, which is where MassageLuXe is headquartered. I met their team, and let me tell you, that team has more passion than any team I've ever worked with in my entire life.
Cool.
They bleed passion.
Yeah.
Alongside that, I really appreciated that MassageLuXe has taken their time to grow. They've been around since 2007, and they've really been strategic about how they grow their franchise, not rushing the growth before they have the foundational blocks in place to ensure their franchisees' success. The scalability of this model is here, and now we're at the point where we really can grow in a responsible way while ensuring our franchisees' success. So that was really great to see. and ultimately, really the deciding factor in me moving over to MassageLuXe was the passion I saw, the leadership. Everybody over there worked so damn hard. And I really believe that they have what it takes to be a large franchise.
So you were tasked, and tell me if this is incorrect. You're tasked directly for the growth of this franchise to get it from X units to 2X or 3X units. That's your job.
Yes, absolutely. That's my job. Yep, 70 to 250.
I mean, that's a big task, right? For any brand, no matter how good it is, because you're always worried. You're always trying to figure out how to get those leads in, etc. So when you were faced with that task, and that might have been a similar task that you had with your prior franchise or franchise holding company, but when you're faced with that task, what's the number one thing that the franchisor can do to empower you to do it, to get it accomplished?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. My answer is that successful spas sell more spas. So my team, if they are focused on making sure that our franchisees are as successful as possible, growth will come. And this team, that's what they're dedicated to. They wake up every day with one goal in mind, and that is to make sure that our franchisees are supported the best way that they can support them. So the team helps every single day in every little thing that they do and every big thing that they do in the growth of our franchise.
Sure.
And that's huge. I mean, and to hear you talking about the only way you'll succeed is if your franchisees are successful. And Eric, we've had that conversation a bazillion times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still think a lot of franchisors just don't get that. And I don't know whether it's second generational, as in private equity holding them, and they don't particularly care to get it, as opposed to just increase EBITDA. But I do think that I've got some familiarity with franchise sales, not just representing franchisors, but creating a franchise brokerage network. And I will tell you that the best way to sell franchises is have happy franchisees that the prospect can talk to. It's
like with the Walt Disney, create an experience so special you'll tell your friends and family and bring them to the park.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. And
that's why I really appreciate how MassageLuXe has structured my role, because my role allows me to do both things that I love. I've struggled my entire career in my marketing and my sales, Mm-hmm. This role allows me a huge play in our franchisee's success in the consumer marketing of our brand.
Okay.
But also is responsible for franchise demand generation.
Okay.
And it links those two things together. And if you've been in franchising for a while or been around the block, you do know that in most organizations, they are separate. And there is a large disconnect between how you're talking to the consumer and how you're talking to your prospective franchisees. And that creates a lot of problems.
Yeah. Now, see, that's a huge deal. So you're responsible not only for the happiness of the franchisees through increased sales and therefore increased revenue, but you're also responsible for bringing those additional franchisees in, which, quite frankly, probably when you're talking to them in the sales process gives you a lot more credibility, because you really do understand how the franchisee is going to go after these consumers and get them in the door.
So, Kristen, if you had, how many leads does it take for you to find a qualified franchisee that fits within your brand and your culture?
Yeah, this is this is tough. The Fran Connect annual report will tell you that you need 100 leads in order to close a deal, right? Now, this fluctuates for us depending on our demand generation activity. And what I mean by that is if we got a bunch of Facebook ads out there, we're probably going to need 200, right? Because you're playing in a more upper funnel strategy that isn't going in front of people who have a direct search intent for a franchise.
Sure.
So you need to pay attention to this, and it's not as easy as me telling you guys it takes 100 leads to close a deal, because it is truly dependent on what we are doing in order to get those leads. It probably does take 100 leads in regard to those people who have direct intent to close a deal. But we've had a very strong 2021. There's a stark difference between what we saw in 2020 and what we saw in 2021 in terms of franchise interest. Entrepreneurs are ready to push go now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they've been sitting on their hands for a year.
Yeah, right.
And I think that kind of goes back to our hot topic, where I think, people being forced to take the COVID shot is like, you know what, screw this. I'm sitting on X in my 401k. I'm going to buy a franchise. I'm going to work for myself.
Yeah, that could be part of it. I will tell you this, that on the brokerage side of it, I have a lot of brokers that refer me business, and usually when the broker refers me business, it's franchisee or candidate wants to get into a franchise and needs some business advice in relation there too. Yes, it is possible. All you old white guys who don't know anything about franchising and who say, I only represent a franchisor, you can represent both, believe it or not. And I do quite well, but 50+% of the deals that I do, they're using their 401k or IRA to fund the purchase, right? And I'm probably being pretty conservative. It's certainly 60% or more. And it's because they've got so much value in their 401k or IRA. So it's like having a lender in their own head, right? Who's willing to take the risk, right? And buy a franchise. How does that correlate to your experience with MassageLuXe with respect to this? They call it a ROBS program. I think that's a horrible way to describe it. So I usually call it a rollover, or just your IRA's lending you dough. But how does that correlate to your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as high as you're speaking in the 50 to 60% category, but we definitely have closed deals over the past 6 months where people are using their retirement as a rollover to start this business.
Sure.
The great thing about a MassageLuXe is when you open one and you are mature and up and running, it's a really nice income for you based on our pro forma. You're doing well, right? Whereas in some franchise models, you kind of got to open a couple of them in order to really see kind of the full-time salary, recuperation.
Yep, absolutely. So, so let's still talk about leads, because that's the most difficult part, right? Some have said, I've seen so-called lead generators out there that I swear just took the leads out of telephone books, and they sold them to you, and they sold them to the next person, they sold them to the next person. And by the time you buy them and call the person, it's like, why are you calling me? I have absolutely zero interest in buying a franchise, and no, I don't want an extended car warranty either. Right? I mean, right? And so every franchisor seems to have a different method that works for them. And I'm sure with thousands and thousands of franchisors, there aren't as many methods to generate leads. But let me give you an example. I represent a franchisor that gets their leads from Craigslist. Now, who would think that you could get a franchisee from Craigslist, but they advertise under businesses for sale? I have a franchisor who focuses on sending brokers into, or focusing on brokers on specific markets that they want to get into. So the broker is really hitting the streets right there, the streets that are around them, versus the typical broker who may be in Columbus, Ohio, but may be getting a lead from Seattle and New York and wherever. They don't know where their lead's going to come from. So what has been, without spilling your secret sauce, where have you found some, success in finding leads that are worth a hoot?
Yeah, so I have a little bit in a lot of different baskets, right? and it's on purpose. I know for a fact that content and PR and getting out in the media is one of the best ways to generate leads for your brand. The problem is it's long tail. It takes a long time.
Sure.
The journey is long. And so you can't put out a press release and have it immediately attract a ton of leads to your system. And content marketing takes a while.
Yep.
So while you build out your content marketing strategy, you do need to have the portals, the digital advertising, the brokers at times to help kind of move things along as that longer term content does its job. So in 2021, we're focusing a lot on news, content, focus areas, franchisee profiles, but of course still keeping our eggs in the portal basket, digital marketing, things like that as well.
And it just sounds all so expensive. I mean, franchisors, at least in my experience, are often a little cheap, all right? And they're cheap in the sense that they've had so many consultants send them down the primrose path that they just go, oh my gosh, here's another pitch, right? Some other schmuck tells me they can get me the good leads, right? Or some other schmuck tells me that they know how to do SEO. You knew that was coming too, Ricky. And because there's a lot of schmucks, it's a schmuck-filled world out there for sure. But how do you come up with the budget that you need? And how do you convince management that they need to put those dollars behind you in order to, again, generate those leads that you need?
Yeah. Because a lot of what you're doing is digital based, the numbers and data are there. You should be expecting to pay anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000 on an acquisition of a new franchisee.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And when you say, well, hold on, when you say 13 to 15, is that all in? Does that include, for example, and I'm going to get boring, like allocation of overhead, the expense of training them and opening them, or
no?
Oh my goodness,
that's advertising. But here's what: the average lifetime value of your franchisee.
Sure.
I mean, it's in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Of course.
So yeah, $15,000 seems like a lot, but if you weigh that against your return on investment, I mean, you're still looking pretty good. So
that's a good point.
That's exactly how we talk about it at MassageLuXe.
Oh, yeah, that's good information.
Well, yeah, and then you throw in a brokerage commission, and you got nothing left from that initial
rate. Yep.
Right. Particularly when you're training them, particularly when you're going to their location and helping them open and all that good stuff. All right, so tell us about your involvement in the sales cycle. How does that work when a lead, for example, a candidate applies to MassageLuXe, or let's back up, just makes an inquiry, a general inquiry. When do you get involved, and how involved do you get during this, we'll call it the sales process?
Yeah, it varies. I have a franchise development director who does a great job in regards to getting those leads on the phone and getting meetings on the books and explaining the process. Sometimes I'm the one who's calling those leads right off the bat. We've had a huge interest in the past few months, and I've been stepping in to help kind of get those leads booked on appointments for him. So it does vary. I like being involved. I want to know what's in the funnel. I know Mark, our CEO, wants to know what's in the funnel and what's coming up. So I wish I had an exact formula for you as to the exact time that I get involved and the percentage of my involvement, but it really is candidate dependent, and is also dependent on the current workload.
Right. I gotcha. So what we've talked about in the past, and for the listeners, we try to keep it as non-industry specific as we can to help out folks in all different businesses. But, again, I'm reminded of the vet. It's about the vet. People will take as much of your time as you're willing to give them. And, so long as you're at a franchise convention and so long as you got free sandwiches left, you're not out of candidates, right? They're still coming up and nibbling on your sandwiches, right? Oh, is that a stress ball? I'll take that, Mm-hmm. And so the thing is that, though, vetting is so important in every business, right? Knowing who's a customer and who's not a customer. Tell us about vetting. Tell us about how you get rid of the candidates, or let's put it in a more positive light. How do you find out that your candidate may not be someone who's really going to buy?
Yeah. So, luckily, we've got access to social media profiles that 10 years ago you just didn't have the same access to.
Okay.
So the first step is doing a little bit of sleuthing, right? Doing a little bit of research. I excel at this and love it. It's my inner kind of investigator, right?
Sure.
So I'm doing a fair amount of research on them. We have intro calls, a face-to-face webinar. We ask them for their financials after that webinar, so we get a good idea of their financial capabilities. And then, a discovery day is really where you sit down with the departments at MassageLuXe, myself and our CEO, Mark, included, and you have a conversation and you kind of get a feel for whether or not they fit. Because this is a two-way street, right? We, of course, want quality franchise prospects in our doors, but we also want good franchise prospects in our doors in terms of personality and characteristics, not just financials.
Sure.
We want to make sure they're a good representation of our brand. So as much as they're interviewing us, we're interviewing them as well throughout the discovery day and honestly throughout the whole process.
Do you guys have them take like a Zoracle test or a profile test?
No, I've worked with Zoracle in the past and have done that in the past. MassageLuXe is so, when you walk in, if you haven't met our corporate team, it's just different. You kind of meet them and it's so relatable and friendly. And we get the opportunity to really take a look at that candidate because of the way that we are and the size that we are in a way that most franchisors can't do. In addition to that, Mark is fantastic at reading people. So he gets a pretty good pulse on whether or not they're a good fit within the first 5 minutes of a conversation, honestly.
That's great. Interesting.
Yeah. And no offense to Zoracle, I know the lady who created it or at least says she created it.
May.
Yeah. No offense to that, but that's more of a conversation starter for a number of brokers, et cetera, than it is a true vetting tool. I think face-to-face and talking to people, you find out. And as Kristen does, investigation over the internet, you get a pretty good idea for who they are, for sure. So the vetting I've heard from various brokers is the key to not increasing that 1 in 100, but being able to crank through the 100 pretty darn quickly, right? To achieve growth. It's critical. It's certainly critical for my business. So tell me what the candidate is going through, right? I mean, do you have candidates who uniformly, well, this is old hat for them, they've owned businesses before, so you really don't need to get them through that hurdle? Or are these individuals who, they might have been great in their field, right? They might have, been the head of marketing of, Anheuser-Busch or whatever, but owning a business is a different animal for sure. Being everything, being responsible for everything. What kind of candidates do you have? And for those who are just getting into their first business, what sort of hurdles do they have and you have to get them over so they say yes to the franchise?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. We just signed 2 deals. Both of those deals were from current business owners, but never in franchising. So in that case, you really need to boil down the efficiencies of franchising, the process of franchising, the support that they're going to get that, frankly, as business owners, they're just not used to.
Yep.
So in that case, we're really focusing on that. But
the why of franchising.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Why am I paying?
Exactly.
Why am I paying you a royalty versus I never paid a royalty before? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and the surprise of, oh wait, you help with that?
Okay.
Wait, I get this?
Right.
Yeah. So there's some excitement there too that they're just they're not used to that.
Okay.
But then you have your corporate people too. I'm working with a couple of candidates right now that are in that very state where they've been in corporate their whole life, and maybe they have some money, some severance money from a layoff, or just are kind of sick of the corporate environment and want to take some of their cash that they've saved up over the years and inject it into a business that they can feel passionate about. And in that case, you really are talking about both franchising and business ownership, and the fact that if you aren't a business owner, franchising is a really good option for you because where your strengths, wherever your weakness lies in business, right? If you're not good at marketing, don't worry, we've got you.
Yeah, I tell candidates all the time, I said, look, you can take an FDD, which is 200 plus pages of garbage, and that's exactly what it is, quite frankly. It's required by the federal government, so there's your starter. And you can boil it down to, you got to answer 3 questions with a franchise. How much is it going to cost? How much are you going to make? And does the franchisor have a system that's uniformly followed? And one of the beauties of franchising is the document, and more importantly, the existing franchisees, you can find out all those questions. And imagine an investment. Imagine going into a business for the first time, and it's not a franchise. It's just you. It's your great idea, okay? My Magic Muffins, right? Cannabis-infused muffins. I'm going to give that to you as a freebie today. So imagine going into it and not really being able to answer any of those questions, right? I don't know how this is going to cost. I don't know what I should budget for. I don't know how much I'm going to make. And I damn sure know that I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, so I know I don't have a system. To me, that and the brand value that comes with franchising, think about some of these brands and how large they've become and how they are a mainstay in American and worldwide consumerism. These are very big benefits that, in my opinion, and I may be a little subjective here because I represent a number of franchisors, but my opinion, it makes the royalty pretty low for all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, so I'm a big believer in franchising, but beyond that, I'm a big believer in owning your own business and setting your own destiny. So what's the future like? So we're through 2020, which was god-awful for everybody. I don't care who you were. I don't care if you stayed open for business or whatever. It's just weird, right? Government shutdowns are weird. Nobody knew what those were before 2020. I certainly didn't. I
still don't know what it is.
I still don't know where it is. I'm still confused as to what a pandemic is. First they said it was a pandemic. I thought it had to do with, a pan, maybe some, French dessert. It was like, it sounds delicious. So we're through 2020. 2021 has already started off well. You just sold 2 within the last week or so. I mean, what are your projections for 2021?
Massive growth.
Wow.
First on the consumer side. Yeah, massive. Here's why. Health and wellness is the new self-care.
Yep.
Self-care is not a fad. People are more concerned than ever about their health and wellness. If the pandemic has done anything for us for the positive, it's that. People want to be healthy now.
Yep.
So that's big. The other thing that I would say around that is a lot of people right now are not in a good place mentally or physically. This year has taken a toll on them. Tons of anxiety, depression, mental disorder, and and then there's a physical side of that too, right?
Sick of your spouse. What's that? Did I say that, or did I just think that? I said sick of your spouse. I was just kidding. Keep going, please.
No, you're right. They need to get away, right? They need a little bit of a mental break, and massage is a great way to do that, by the way.
Nice plug.
And so I think the consumer demand will be there for businesses who recognize that. Now, like I said, we're really leaning hard into that health and wellness positioning at MassageLuXe and have that affordable, accessible membership option for people who want regular care, routine care to take advantage of. So consumer outlook for me, super, super bright. Franchise development outlook follows the consumer. So interest in our brand has never been stronger. We've inked a couple of great deals in 2021, and we've got a lot more on the table. So things are looking good.
Yeah.
Do you have any, or are most of your franchisees single unit owners, or do you have a few multi-unit owners?
Most of our franchisees are multi-unit owners.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and most of them, they start with one and then they grow from there. Like I said, with one location, there's availability to open more after that because the locations do well.
Yeah,
that's great.
So, with respect to coming out of the disaster that was 2020 and how consumer behavior has changed or people's behavior has changed. They're more focused on their health now. Perhaps they're more focused on their overall happiness. Who knows? Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big statement, but maybe. We've talked on the show before, in fact, probably in every episode, of how any business needs to position itself for the future, whether it's the future economy, which we believe is going to cycle. That's not any great shakes. Anybody who's been around for a while knows that the economy cycles. And also with respect to the new consumerism, whether it's health conscious or getting back to normal or whatever that might be, we can't disregard that, and we can't dwell on what happened to us in 2020. Now we need to focus on, okay, now how do we remain competitive in, let's call it, the new normal? But the new normal is a good normal, right? Not you wear 3 masks and listen to Dr. Fauci and get a booster shot every month. The new normal is, this is me doing life differently. And I think that businesses who don't sit down and strategize with that are probably not going to fare as well as they might have been doing before COVID, before this change or this shift.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with all that. It's crucial.
So tell us about, we see more and more businesses, not just franchising, going toward a membership model. And I know you guys have done that for a long time. And like in my law firm, I want to get more and more people on a monthly retainer, right? Because if I do that, I may win some months, I may lose some months, right? But at least I've got that steady projection of income, which is easier to budget for. So tell us about the whys of the membership model for MassageLuXe.
Yeah, so your first point is exactly our first point, right? We want that consistency within the spa for our owners in regards to their bottom line. But we also want that consistency as it relates to our consumers' health. It's through regular massage and regular facial care that you are going to see a long-term difference. And so our membership model sets that habit for the consumer to really experience that difference. You're not going to feel like $1 million after one massage. It's not going to fix all of the chronic pain that you are experiencing. Sure. It might be temporary, but it's through that regular use, again, that helps. And one of the things that's really on my mind is, our membership model has so many advantages to it. Our consumers get use of a water massage table, unlimited use, right? So even if they don't have an in-person appointment, they can stop into the spa and get a water massage through our table. They also have access to content to better enrich their lives. They can share the membership with family, et cetera, et cetera. But how do we really build out that membership model in order to better our retention? Amazon Prime is kind of the perfect example, right? Or leading example of this, in that you sign up for Amazon Prime for free shipping. Mm-hmm. But somehow they have finagled their way into every point of your life through additional benefits. It's Amazon Prime. You get Amazon Prime Video, you get the music component, you get photo storage, left and right, benefit after benefit, that ultimately you didn't sign up for that, but it's helped to build out the value of Amazon Prime in your mind. That's what MassageLuXe needs to crack.
Yep.
We're close.
Yeah.
And how you integrate into everyone's health and wellness routine.
Yeah, that is interesting. I tell businesses all the time, and I'm the same way. I mean, once I build trust, once my customer is relying on us, well, Ricky owns a chain of nutritional supplement stores. Mm-hmm. It's the same deal. Once your client trusts you, it becomes a consultative sort of relationship, and it's not about the membership fee anymore on a monthly basis. That almost becomes irrelevant.
Right.
It's about, okay, now what can I help you with to make sure that you're getting the true value, not just from your membership, but other products, other services. And the cynics who are listening to me say, oh, it's all about the upsell. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you can have a core value or a core delivery that you provide. And once you're in that consultative relationship for both you guys, for MassageLuXe and for Nutrition HQ, that this is part of my health routine, then you can look for other ways, not only to help your customer, but it also is good for you because it expands your revenue.
Correct. Yeah. And you're right. And Kristen, you know this. We're in the trust business. When you're in health and wellness, you're in the trust business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had the opportunity to talk to Mark, quite a bit about various things, obviously. But, Mark also has said that there may be some exciting things with respect to product offerings coming to MassageLuXe. Are you at liberty to talk about that or no?
I am not at liberty to talk about that. However, what I will say is, to my earlier point, we are constantly trying to better enrich our members' lives, and we want to do that through service expansions. We want to do that through product expansions.
Sure.
We've got some exciting things happening as a brand that is a testament to the team's innovation. And yeah, you'll have to keep your eyes out. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, I again, this isn't supposed to be a shameless plug, but I know that Mark has got his eyes on the future as to how do we continue to evolve this brand? How do we continue to evolve this business to serve better and to serve in the new economy, the new consumerism. And that's the type of leader that you need, right? That forward-thinking person as opposed to let's just bring out bring out the same slop year over year and hope that people don't get tired of it,
Was it paralysis by analysis?
Right. Well, it seems to have helped Subway at 62,000 locations and the same tired sandwiches that they've been selling for 50 years. But whatever. Everybody knows I'm not a Subway fan for sure. All right. So we always ask our guests a very unfair question. And
okay.
you are certainly qualified to do it. You literally started your business after college and went to pretty amazing heights pretty quickly. Who ends up working for the Vikings in relatively short order? That's very cool. Work for a very large franchise holding company, and now you're really responsible for growing one. And by the way, if you can grow one then you will never be unemployed because
you'll be at high demand.
You'll be in very, very high demand. There's what 9,000 plus franchisors out there, all looking to grow, right? Yep. So the opportunities are really seemingly endless. But the question is that for someone who wants to get into business, for someone who is contemplating doing their own business, franchise or no franchise, what are some, golden kernels advice that you can give them that you think they should be focused on, from marketing to value proposition? It really doesn't matter. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into business?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So I am not going to do a shameless plug, but I am a little bit. I am in the very final stages of reading a book by Scott Greenberg called The Wealthy Franchisee.
Okay.
And it's so interesting because this can be applied to entrepreneurship as well. The book is really at its center about what makes a franchisee successful versus a franchisee not successful. Like, you see it all the time, right? Businesses fail, and then a new owner comes in, and all of a sudden the business succeeds. And what once was blamed on location or population is then all of a sudden on the owner or the previous owner, right? And what he really gets at, and what I believe, is that it's all about mindset. So if you are considering opening your own business or starting a franchise, you have to have the right mindset, the mindset of success, the mindset of effort, the mindset of good days and bad days. And kind of the belief in yourself that you can do it. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to surround yourself with people who can help you find those answers.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. I mean, and again, I'm accused often of making it about me, but I just started a business not too long ago, and again, that night, I think those were your exact words to me, Ricky. It's like, believe in yourself. Right, go out there and do it, and mix in a whole lot of hustle for sure.
Oh, the grind is there. It better be. If the grind's not there, you won't make it.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right, which is why your mindset's so important. Right, you really got to look at yourself and what you have and decide whether or not it's right for you, because it's not going to be easy. You got to have kind of the tenacity to push forward.
Yeah, the other advice that I got from actually a good franchisor client in starting a business, which I think about every day, is he said, go and have your best day tomorrow, right?
Oh, that's good.
Go and have your best day tomorrow. He said, and then after that, have your best day the next day, right? And let the days turn into weeks, and let the weeks turn into months, and let the months turn into years.
Yep.
And he says, if you do that, if you can do that for even 2 years, he said, you will be amazed at where you're at.
Yep.
And it sounds simple, right? But it's not, because some days you wake up, this ain't going to be my best day.
Well, I've said this before, and I think it was Walter Payton, and they asked him about his mindset.
Right.
And he goes, when I get the ball, I think one more step, one more yard.
Yeah. Right.
One of the best running backs ever, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He went one step, one more yard was his mindset when he had the football.
Yeah, same in business.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on. I knew you were going to do fantastic. Was it, did you have fun?
I had so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
This is great content, Kristen. We really appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. So if Ricky can do the buttons correctly, it could be any. Oh, there it is. Good job. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.